그거 하면 그건 뭐고 빵하면
Good morning. Bonjour. Josa. Welcome to the Community Family Service of Ontario. I am Jean Yip, the Member of Parliament for Scarborough-Agincourt. The great riding that you are all here today.
Now let me turn my attention to today's announcement. It's no secret that the relationship between Canada and Hong Kong runs deep. There's a history of more than 150 years of Hong Kongers living in Canada and making Canada a better place to call home. And Canada continues to stand with the people of Hong Kong, and we're committed to supporting the freedom and democracy that's cherished by so many. In particular, I had an experience walking in where there were some individuals who wanted to voice their concerns. You may have seen folks outside protesting on a very particular immigration policy that we want to work on to help maintain integrity in the process, but also respect the needs of people who are seeking to come and make a difference in Canada. Let's not forget how special a country Canada is, where a minister on their way into an announcement can stop and have a peaceful conversation with people who want to raise objections to certain policy choices. People in Hong Kong know all too well that that may not be an opportunity for them. We have to jealously guard the freedoms that we hold here in Canada and do our best to spread those freedoms to other parts of the world. You may be aware, of course, a few years ago, Canada announced new pathways for open work permits and for permanent residency for people seeking to come to Hong Kong. On the permanent residency side, programs remain open until 2026, allowing those who've got work experience in Canada or who've studied in Canada to qualify for permanent residency. But we also developed a program that created new open work permits that were valid for up to 3 years for people who had a Canadian post-secondary degree or equivalent foreign credential or a diploma for a program of at least 2 years. That program was due to expire very soon, within about a day. In fact, I'm very pleased to share that we're going to be making 2 important changes to this program. And I'm pleased to announce on behalf of the Government of Canada this morning that we are going to be extending the application deadline by 2 years. So people applying to the program will have an additional 2 years to apply until February 7th, 2025. In addition, we're also changing the eligibility for the program for Hong Kong residents who previously needed to have completed their studies within the last 5 years, and we're expanding it to allow anyone who has completed their studies within the past 10 years to be eligible. This program change comes directly from feedback we heard from the community. We wanted to see more people become eligible for the program and give them more time to apply. We believe it's the right thing to do for people who seek entry into Canada on an open work permit. But to my earlier point, we also believe it serves Canada's self-interest. This means that Hong Kong residents will have the opportunity to come to Canada and gain valuable work experience and perhaps even make their home permanently here in Canada over time through some of those already existing permanent residency pathways I've discussed. Extending the open work permit public policy also means that spouses, common law partners, and dependent children of Hong Kong residents can also apply for a study or work permit in Canada, resulting in even more workers for employers to hire and more people coming to our communities. You know, last year, newcomers accounted for almost 35% of Canadian business owners that had employees. That's an enormous part of Canada's economy. To make sure that business owners in Canada can hire the workers that they need to sustain our economy, we need to continue to bring in more newcomers. Just to give an example, there's a newcomer to Canada named Alan Lau, who came from Hong Kong to live and work in Toronto. Alan started his company, you may be familiar with it, Wattpad, to bring together communities of writers and encourage literacy amongst youth. This company has grown from just 2 co-founders, Alan and his colleague Ivan Ewan, to a company now of 170 employees. Wattpad is used by 70 million people worldwide, including published authors like Isabel Ronan, who said that it would have been impossible for her to gain her audience without the platform that Wattpad gave her. Now, Canada needs to continue to do more on immigration to fill almost 825,000 vacant jobs across the country. And expanding the open work permit program, from my perspective, is a win-win, as it gives Hong Kong residents more opportunity to gain work experience here in Canada. But it also allows us to support the Canadian economy by bringing workers at a time when they're needed most. This allows us to show our support for them, and it also gives Canadian employers and more skilled workers to hire at a time when we need them. I want to say thank you to everyone who took the time out today.
And we have a question over here. Yes.
Thank you. I'm Joseph Lau from TorontoTV. So my question is that the immigration program for Ukraine and Hong Kong right now are believed to be the political immigrations. My question is that what percentage of political immigrations of the overall our immigration status? Thank you.
Sorry,
I believe the current immigration program for Hong Kong and also for Ukraine are believed to be the political immigration programs. So in the overall Canada political programs, what percentage of the political immigration just for right now? Thank you.
So look, I'll apologize in advance because I can't give you a clear answer, not because I want to, but because a clear answer doesn't necessarily exist, and let me explain why. We don't have a category that we define as political immigration versus other kinds of immigration. But one of the other unique features of these programs is when you're dealing with temporary programs to Canada, we don't set a limit on the number of applications that we will have seen. Typically, we would have seen applications for work permits from Hong Kong before the new program was announced a few years ago, about 1,500 or so per year. Over the past few years since it came into effect, we've seen about 17,000. Now that we've expanded the eligibility criteria, it's possible that we see a further increase. With respect to the program for Ukraine, we've seen many hundreds of thousands of applications and more than 100,000 people who've arrived. I'm hearing that a lot of people are applying essentially to take out an insurance policy to determine whether they need a safe place to come if the war worsens in their own community. So whether you count a person after they've arrived versus when they applied would dramatically change the proportion. But what's important on our temporary programs is we don't set a limit on the number that we'll take for tourists, for temporary foreign workers, for international students. If you qualify, we believe it's a good thing for Canada to allow you in. We need to continue to have a finite number of permanent residents each year so we can actually manage the successful integration of people into Canada. But we don't pick and choose where a particular person will come from or for particular political reasons. We will sometimes respond to a humanitarian crisis as we did in Afghanistan. But on the economic side, it's a score-based system where people can compete for permanent residency. And on the provincial nominee program side, people can secure a nomination on the basis of the skills that are in demand in a particular province. So it's a difficult question to answer because it's nuanced. But when it comes to these particular programs, we actually don't set a limit or a target for the percentage of our programs that we would like to see. Because we believe once we establish a program to allow people to come here temporarily, it should be open to anyone who's eligible.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Please, the conference,